Master Chief pissed off an ONI employee by complete accident. But was the guy entirely in the wrong? The interaction is pretty awesome here, so let's go ahead and crack into it. This video is supported by Audible. Snag yourself a free Halo audiobook right down in the description below. So it's not often we get to see Master Chief interact with ONI, let alone an angry employee, an individual. So seeing it illustrated was pretty amazing when I first read this. So the pages I'm reading from is from Halo Tales of SLIPSPACE via the mini story named On the Brink. This takes place in 2558, sometime after Cortana had supposedly died, after Halo 4, but before Halo 5, and Master Chief, in his own special way, began to deal with his grief by obsessively completing missions, and this was also the time that we had a lot of suspicion that Master Chief was going to lose it in Halo 5, but never quite did, at least the way we were hoping for. Actually, I wouldn't even say he did at all, but anyway, the panels start with Kelly narrating, quote, "The war is over. At least that's what we're told. But those of us in the thick of it, we know better. At the fringes of our civilization, it's raging harder than ever. The violence and suffering continues, and there's no one to stop it, and that's why Blue Team is still active." In the next panel, we see Blue Team in a quiet place in the middle of nowhere at a new ONI research facility waiting for orders. Now, we don't know what this place is exactly, but it's kind of important, I guess, and there's also what looks like a nuclear reactor a little bit later, but they start hearing explosions, and they see a runaway mammoth is coming by, blasting through the complex. During the initial strike, a band of Covey fanatics managed to hijack this mammoth and disable the governor and convert it into a 484-ton projectile aimed directly at the site's main reactors, basically using it to destroy everything else. Now, Blue Team jumped on board via jetpacks and started battling it out with about a minute to impact. Now, we hear more of Kelly's narration saying, "And exhausted as I am, the steadiness in Chief's voice focuses me, steals me like nothing else, because I know he's already 3 steps ahead." So Blue Team managed to kick butt up and down throughout the mammoth, and Chief dashes to the driver's seat, but the brakes are disabled. Classic. So Chief starts heading the mammoth off a ridge, but before that happens, Kelly discovers a science team hiding down below, and of course the impact would kill them. So Chief quickly rears the carrier away from the ridge and heads towards the level ground at the far end of the site, just past the reactor. And of course, a jackal jumps right onto him and attacks Chief. We then see a Marine freaking the hell out, and understandably, and narrowly misses being squashed like a bug by these massive mammoth wills, and Chief KOs the jackal just in the nick of time and rears the mammoth right outside of the reactor, and certainly would have absolutely killed everything within miles if that mammoth hit that reactor. And the mammoth eventually came to a rough stop, but nonetheless a stop, with the science team being saved by Kelly. A little bit later, Blue Team is just chilling out, maybe having a beer after almost dying, when suddenly an ONI scientist or manager, at least some employee of ONI because we can see from his badge on his shoulder, likely some head or branch manager at the facility, stomps up to Chief and says, or rather yells, "Which one of you maniacs is responsible for crashing that mammoth into my site?" Chief speaks up, "That was my call. You almost hit my reactor." And Chief responds, "But I didn't." The guy just has a total meltdown from this response and screams, "You think you can get away with that cowboy BS because you're some big hero, huh? Guess what? Out here, no one cares." I mean, the guy is kind of a hero. He did save humanity, but anyway, there's more to this. But honestly, this whole sequence kind of reminds me of that encounter with Andrew Del Rio in Halo 4 when he orders Palmer to arrest Chief for its insubordination. And things like this, I would really love to see made in a cinematic form, like in the Halo games with ONI or the UNSC or some kind of person above Master Chief, which is better, actually get mad at him. But seeing some regular employee at ONI yelling at Chief is actually pretty awesome, and I just love Chief's restraint. So Fred jumps into this and starts yelling back at the guy, explaining that they were actually out here saving them, and the Coveys tried to destroy the reactor and of course tried to kill him and everyone else. Of course, the hothead just yells back at Fred, "My men had the situation under control. Are you implying their efforts weren't sufficient?" "I'm not implying anything," Fred says. "I'm telling you straight up, we just saved your ass." So, a pretty appropriate response. Chief gets involved and says, "Walk away, Fred. The man's having a difficult moment." "Lol, get wrecked, noob. Teabag him, Chief. Teabag." The guy then just walks away, promising to report Blue Team and their behavior, that someone is going to be held accountable for all this damage. Now, if you didn't notice it, Fred cracked. This is actually a pretty good moment of a Spartan 2 cracking, which we just don't see enough of. This was alluded to in Halo 5's beginning that Master Chief would also begin to crack, but even Kelly here in the comic understands Fred's frustration with all the missions and the stress that Blue Team's been having, especially, after Halo 4 and before Halo 5 during this time frame. She asked a really key question. With all the hostility, the pressure of this new world, is it just a matter of time before he, John, cracks too? If you want to learn more about what Chief does before and after and between all the Halo games, then I certainly recommend picking up a free Halo audiobook down in the description below. I recommend listening to Halo Bad Blood, as it has a little bit of Chief after Halo 5, and also if you want to hear about his upbringing, about some insurrectionists siding with the Covenant in the early days, then I recommend listening to Halo Silent Storm, which again are free on Audible's 30-day trial, link down in the description. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your time. If you haven't already, then be sure to drop this video a like if you ended up enjoying, and subscribe. Join me on this Halo journey of, 8+ years of covering Halo news. And if you want to see more of my lore videos, I talk about all kinds of things like the Covenant that hunted down Spartans, or the Covenant's version of Spartans. Go check out those videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.